100.3 Philly's R&B, Ashmack here. And you know what? We never know of the places that our journey of life will take us and the stories that we tell and how things unfold. But there is something called divine timing. And with all of that, it gives us new purpose and gives us even more meaning and fulfilling what we're called to do. That's exactly why I'm talking to Miss Tralee Hale Ringo, a.k.a. Mama Ringo. Hold on, I got to say, breast cancer survivor, entrepreneur, advocate, mom, and more. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Oh, yes.
Number one, how are you feeling? Hopefully like a champ.
Oh, my gosh. Girl, I'm so excited. It's such a surreal moment to be within a week of going to see my son on the field playing for the Super Bowl. This is his second year in the league. Like, boys, these young men hope, you know what I mean, to make the Super Bowl once, and he's just there the second year. He has an awesome team. Their camaraderie is second to none. I love that I have just an inside view on all of that and the conversations, and them just even at home on Madden on the sticks together talking to each other. They're brothers, and then also there's a total of 5 of them, right? Because we came up from the University of Georgia.
Right.
So we are with Nolan Smith, N'Kobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Kelee Ringo.
It's amazing. And right before we started this interview, you were telling me about how you're just coming from Georgia and coming to Philly and the differences of the weather. And I'm sure the pace of the city is too. So give me some very clear differences from being in Georgia and being in Philly.
Oh my gosh. So right now I'm suffering from the weather. Right now I'm stuffy from the weather because it's not making up its mind. It seems like it's going to now, but literally I'll wear a snowsuit to tailgate.
I don't blame you.
And I did, and I was hot. The other Sunday it was 70 degrees. I'm like, Philly, come on, get it together.
Right. But that's not usual weather.
No,
let's be clear.
I know,
That's not.
it's usually confusing, right?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
it is.
And then global warming is
doesn't
doing
help.
its thing.
Yeah.
But it's faster paced. Like I was also in the college town.
Right.
So it was not Atlanta.
Right.
I wish I had that Atlanta experience to compare it to.
That's true.
Yeah, this is I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in Phoenix, and I've lived in a suburb of Seattle, but this is the first this East Coast city that I've been in, and I'm loving it.
Good. East Coast is different, but I love it. It's authentic.
We are everywhere.
Everywhere. Yes.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Girl, and I'm just getting settled in and meeting fans and building camaraderie with these other influencers that are big here in the area. Everybody knows who I'm talking about, and I'm just having a blast.
Well, it's nothing like being on the East Coast, and there's nothing like being a Birds fan. I'll say that. It's because the fandom and just the pride that the fans have is one of a kind. Like, even if you don't really know the sport, I'm gonna be very transparent. I'm learning football now simply because of all the fans here, and it's like I have to be in it. Really?
No, exactly. Like when we came here, I didn't know what to expect. I had heard about Philly fans and just that they're not liked and that nobody cares. But I mean, here we don't care.
Right.
Girl, I came here a Kelee Ringo fan, and I have already turned into an Eagles fan.
I love it.
Hence my attire.
Eagles head down.
Listen, I'm
head
disappointed.
to toe.
I'm disappointed. I don't know how long it's going to be like. You know how you don't take down your Christmas tree and you just want to sit there and look at it for a little while longer. It's going to be a little bit. Well, I'm going to wear my Eagles stuff.
I'm not mad at that.
It's not coming off.
I feel like I judge people about leaving their Christmas tree up, but I won't judge anyone for leaving Eagles gear on at all. I will not. But let's definitely talk about you and your journey, and really how 2020 was a standstill time for all of us. We were forced to sit with ourselves. And I think that was so hard to do, really just sitting with yourself, reevaluating yourself as a person and rediscovering yourself. And there was a few things you also discovered during that time. So could you share with us your story and what you learned about yourself and how that plays a part in who you are, this version of you today?
In 2020, in May of 2020, March of 2020, just as COVID was making its presence known, I was in the process of getting laid off as a flight attendant. Leading up until that time, on my days off, I was flying. So at work, I was flying, and when I was home, I was flying because I'm sure we broke the unofficial college visit record across the United States. Like, we pulled up to Texas Longhorns 5 times. We went to Georgia 6 times. I was like, you about to roll this red carpet all the way out for us. I want to know, I needed to know that where I was dropping my son off and the men that were on the field and teachers and just mentors were going to be men that are going to continue to raise my son on and off the field.
Sure, of course.
And I've always had to do that as a single mother.
Yeah.
And so I didn't make the decision. My son chose the University of Georgia. I'm glad he did. He went there and ended up catching the interception. And we beat Alabama for the first time in 41 years, broke that drought. But back to my story. We were deciding on what college to go to, and I was just getting laid off. And so fortunately we had already decided, and I just my responsibilities quickly converted from flying the friendly skies to being a stay-at-home mom. And I was now responsible for cooking for this 17-year-old bottomless pit football player, 6'3", grown man. Forget he's a child, he's a growing child. Like, moms know that are cooking for boys. These moms that have like 2-3 boys, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Because I was like doing laundry and just staying caught up in the house, and then I'm cooking breakfast, and then I'm back to doing some dishes, and then I sit down for 1 hour, and then I need to get up and start lunch, and it was just constant. Girl, I wanted to go back to work so I could have a break. Type.
Right, I understand. I definitely get that. But you know what? A little bit more about your journey. Go ahead.
Okay, so then I just had, while all of this was going on, I had felt a mass, and it was palpable. I had noticed it 9.5 months previous. But again, being a single mom and being invested in my son, and us having to travel and find, help my son choose a college that was going to be the best fit, I just ignored the mass. But also, what age are you familiar with that we go and start our mammograms as women?
I want to say 30.
So, I think the majority of these viewers or listeners will be surprised at the age 30. I think they're going to think 40, because that's when our insurance starts to pay for it. But I had a specific type of cancer that's called triple negative. It's the one and only non-hormonal type. So you beat it or it beats you quick. And then I'm no longer on anything moving forward as far as, the hormonal types that you kind of have to take hormones moving forward. So again, you beat it or it beats you, and it's out of my system now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. On the 22nd of February, I will be cancer-free for 3 years.
Congrats!
Girl,
That is
huge. Thank you. Two.
That is amazing. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but breast cancer affects Black women the most, specifically women under the age of 40, correct?
So the triple negative type is non-hormonal, and it falls in the category of one of the most aggressive. And it affects us, Black and brown women, starting at age 30, not 40. I didn't know anything about that type of cancer. I'm not sure if you did.
I didn't until I read your story.
Okay, or these listeners probably don't know. Why is it that there is a type of breast cancer that affects Black and brown women at age 30 and we don't know about it? Why? So I'm a retired fireman paramedic. I had to leave because, girl, I have a bad back and getting flight attendant.
I understand. Yeah.
But I have a little bit of a paramedic background.
So you're more knowledgeable than a regular common person.
That's what I'm trying to say. But then my mother is a labor and delivery nurse, and she's a 40-year labor and delivery nurse while she wasn't focused in oncology. Why is it that she's a nurse and she's going to continue education all these years?
Sure.
And how is it that nobody knows about this type of cancer? So now that I barely beat it.
Yeah.
I am so embarrassed to say but also as part of my story.
Yeah.
And but I wasn't 40 years old. Cancer does not run in my family, and I'd convinced myself that it was a clogged duct or a cyst because I was a busy single mom. It's got to be something else.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
How many people have not thought to themselves, it's not going to happen to me? I was one of them, and I almost paid the ultimate price.
And then also, how many times do we put everything ahead of our own needs?
That's exactly what
whether
we do.
that's family, that's children, that's work. For me, that's work. We'll put that ahead of taking care of our own needs personally. We'll skip a doctor's appointment or not go to a doctor's appointment because you are trying to meet a deadline or trying to do something else.
Exactly. That's also a lot of my point when it comes to my message is that I need my story to be relatable.
Sure.
We as women put ourselves on the back burner. We sacrifice for ourselves, for our families, for our children. Exactly right. We'll cancel some doctor's appointment, for ourselves because our kid had an emergency, and I mean that's appropriate time to cancel, but also circle back, reschedule, don't let it go.
Right.
And we as women and men need to hold the women in their lives accountable.
Sure.
And we as women need to hold each other accountable. And maybe let's, find a friend and let's you and I go and have our mammograms together, and then let's go have lunch.
Right.
I mean, even if we don't have that close or we don't get to spend that much time together as friends because we're grown and we have families.
That's real.
Hey, let's go get this mammogram together once a year.
Right. So let me ask you this. What does support look like as a cancer survivor? I think that's a great question or, insight to have. What does support look like, and how can we continue to hold each other accountable with that? Because I'm sure this is a touchy subject for many. Maybe I don't want to talk about this. Maybe I'm scared of making an appointment. Maybe I know there's something there I need to get checked and I'm fearful of the results of that. So what does accountability and support look like?
Look, I'm a real one, and I'm going to call a spade because we as Black people, we don't want to go to the doctor.
Nope.
And then when we get there, we might not believe what they're telling us because everybody in a white coat is also white.
Yeah.
And I'm literally in the position that I'm like, why don't I know about this type of cancer that I should have?
Yeah.
And why is it that there's lack of education? And so that's what it comes down to. We just don't believe fat meat is greasy. It's not going to happen to us, and it's lack of education.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to say it doesn't discriminate. And we as women have to put ourselves on the front burner.
Yeah.
And again, hold each other accountable and actually care about ourselves and our health. Because if we're not moving at 100%, if we're not happy and healthy, how are we going to?
You can't get up
be there for
every day.
everybody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
And listen, it's commendable.
Yeah.
And that's what we do as women, and it's natural. But we have to say, hey, no.
I got to take this time out for myself.
Yes, and then go get a massage.
Yeah.
Definitely go get a massage. You deserve it because you're that busy.
Yes.
You don't even want to take care of yourself.
You don't. But you got to, it's not only doing that, taking care of yourself, you got to feel good and look good about yourself too. Yes. I definitely am a big advocate for that. Okay, when it comes to accountability and support, what were some organizations that you found as a resource that were supportive of this? And I would love for you to also talk about your foundation as well.
So when I was going through it, it was 2020. Everybody was in their home. Everyone was with their family, right? Everyone was isolated. Being a flight attendant, I actually did live in Phoenix.
Okay.
But everyone, all my friends really commuted. And so it's a flight attendant lifestyle. And it was my lifestyle for years was to fly out of Phoenix. So I would get up in the morning in Seattle and get on the plane and fly to Phoenix to start work and fly out at 4:00 p.m. And so we'd also build our schedule to complement that commute.
Gotcha.
So what was I even saying? Sorry. We have to cut that out.
That's okay.
Talking about flying.
Flying, your support system, and we were talking about resources that helped you during this time.
So all my friends were at home with their family.
Sure.
And so they lived that type of lifestyle, whereas I had ended that lifestyle and was now living in Phoenix. Once I was able to bring my son down from Seattle, once he was old enough to drive and I could trust him to make it to school and get grades, done, and might be gone on a 3 or 4 day trip. So, so I didn't have a support system. My son, I had put off my appointments, and so just wanted to get my son off to college. he reported to college on June 3rd, and I had lined up my catch-up doctor's appointments. Like, I'm sure I needed cleaning and needed to get my eyes checked. And I was going to go in and have this mass checked. I'm not even 40 years old yet, but let me go ahead and prove to a couple of my girlfriends that this is not cancer.
Right.
Like, good look, but it's not. Only for it to be. I stand corrected, girl. And so I immediately, I told them about the mass when I had made my doctor's appointment, and when I got there, they had when I got there, they had also scheduled a biopsy, which is just a tissue sample. So so it was a little bit of a small invasive procedure, and they went in, they made a clamp, and it reported to me that it was cancer on the 12th of June. My son had been in college for 9 days. I was already mid-thought before my son left. Like, what, really, COVID?
Yeah.
Laid off?
Now this.
Now I'm home as a single mom cooking and cleaning?
Yeah.
And now my son's gone to school, and like, him and I are a vibe, let's be clear. Like, okay, I was able to fall back as a strict mom when he came down, and he was about a sophomore in high school. We had a talk, and I had been a strict mom. My son is yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And when I have to mom, he falls into his role, and it's very rare. And so we have that type of relationship. So I was missing him.
Yeah.
And so I was already mid-sentence, like, how much worse is this year gonna get? Cherry on top, cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
Really? So I immediately started chemo, and the type of chemo that I started was called doxorubicin. It's referred to as the red devil, and let me tell you, it lives up to its name. That's an understatement, if anything. When I was ignoring that mass, I didn't realize what doxorubicin was gonna feel like. Again, it goes back to lack of education.
Yeah.
And I've been in the medical field a little bit and didn't know.
Right.
And that's the thing. People don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Cancer is so bad. I don't wish it on my worst enemy. I don't have, it's so bad. I cannot put into words what it feels like to be on your deathbed, girl. And then I was home fighting it, and I just had to get up and drive myself to chemo. And I have a little 8-pound Shih Tzu named Molly that was recently returned. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much to the area. I know everybody probably saw that on the news.
Oh my gosh. We got to get into Molly's story after.
Yeah, we'll get after that after.
Definitely. So, knowing that you're a survivor, knowing, what you just said of being on your deathbed and having a lack of support, and what it sounds like, your son, your support system there now is in school, what would you say, looking back and knowing what you know now, to anyone that's having a similar journey or doesn't have a support system? What would you share with them about cancer, or even when to start doing early detections? Early detection.
They don't want to opt into the fight that I elected to fight. It was the worst thing that I've ever had to endure. It's the worst thing that I've ever had to overcome by myself. And when I heard in the past, you've heard the phrase, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only option you have. That's when it became true to me. That's when that quote rang. I mean, it's true. Nobody was there. Nobody could take any weight off my shoulders. Nobody could drive me to chemo. When you come home, you have almost 24 hours, and it sets in. You have to kind of meal prep for yourself and line your pills up and stay on track. You can't miss that.
Yeah.
And it's just so much. You're just tired. You're hungry. Your hair's falling out. Your toenails are falling off.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that by yourself.
I mean, that's not the extent of it.
I'm so sorry you had to deal with that alone.
I would never have chose to go through that had I known. But again, nobody's speaking up about it. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to tell people the uncomfortable truth.
Yeah.
Like, the ugly, uncomfortable truth about cancer, about chemo. I don't know anything about radiation, but I'm going to, when we get into what I've got going on, I'm going to bring people in and doctors and talk about that. But it's just early detection is key. I heard that quote in the past also and never associated it to myself or anything that I have going on. I also I've never known anyone that's had cancer.
Yeah.
I've never known anyone that's
because
been
it wasn't
a
in your
support
family.
system because it wasn't in my family.
Right.
So also, it does not need to be in your family for you to take it serious and think it might, it'll just not skip, but it'll just land on you. Like, it just doesn't discriminate.
Right.
And that type of breast cancer, specifically triple negative, that is non-hormonal and amongst the it's triple negative is amongst the most aggressive, and cancer also doesn't hurt. So you just have to be really aware of little, skin cancer is just a little spot on your skin.
Yeah.
Breast cancer doesn't need to be a palpable mass that you can feel, like, or it might be. But also, women shower, and we should know our bodies.
Yeah.
And girl, I feel like when I'm showering and I have.
Now you're
Listen,
looking.
I'm a real one. No,
Yeah.
I'm just like, if I have a zit on my dang calf or something, just making it up.
Yeah.
I'm washing. I feel that. Yeah. We know our bodies, so we have to get up close and personal. And if something's irregular or doesn't make sense or is confusing, go have it checked out.
Yeah.
And then, if you're not comfortable with your doctor or what they said to you, go get a second opinion.
Right.
Because we have to. It's unfortunately, that's where our country is right now.
Yeah.
You
have
know what?
to look for all that information. You have to take your own initiative for it and provide your own answers. You can't depend on somebody else or even a professional or anybody to know what's best for you.
I just had a major back surgery in Jefferson Hospital. I'm only saying that to say that when I got there and was telling them about my pain, they looked at me and treated me like a drug seeker.
Like you just wanted what?
Like I want
Oxy
some morphine or
something.
I'm like, no. They had me in the aisle or the roundabout in the walkway around the hospital where the staff is.
Yeah. And
I was just in tears, and my blood sugar was normal, but my blood pressure was like 190 over, like it was sky high, and I ended up stopping a doctor that was walking past me. I had tears in my eyes, and I said, listen, please help me. I'm a retired fireman, paramedic. You've never seen my face before. I am not a drug seeker.
Right.
Whatever is wrong with me is going to require surgical intervention.
Sure.
I think that doctor then believed me, or that was credible enough for her to decide that maybe she's legit.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's thorough.
That's unfortunate.
And then they gave me imaging, and I was thrown in emergency surgery the next morning. But I'm sorry, you know what? And I'm just gonna, you can cut out whatever you want. But from Georgia up here, the health care and how they treat us, and when you hear that they don't believe Black women in our pain, they can't believe my pain, the amount of pain that I can tolerate. Yeah. Considering, like, here.
Right here.
When I say major...
Well, luckily, but this is healing beautifully, though.
It's healing, but how big of a scar is that?
Huge, it's long.
Like, that's major back surgery.
Yeah.
And I qualified for it the next morning. Like, they just didn't believe me.
Yeah. You know, what you mentioned, I think is interesting, and we hear so many of us that say it, is that you have to wait until you're validated, until your opinion is validated, and until someone else says, oh, that sounds credible. I can halfway believe that. So now I think you need to be seen by a doctor. And why is it that our dependency of our life is being held in somebody else's hands, and based off of what they determine is valuable or credible is your life? It's either life or death.
Why am I coming in the ER in pain with my blood pressure sky high, and I'm saying I'm hurting?
Yeah.
Why do I have to prove to you that I'm not a drug seeker?
Right.
Why do I have to prove that I'm credible?
You're just in pain. That should be enough. You need help. That should be enough. You need to be seen. That should be enough.
I think it should be. But I cannot tell you how horrible it has been.
Yeah.
Georgia, up here. So that's the same. You want me to make comparisons from Georgia to up here? They still treating us bad, both places.
Lord Jesus.
Man,
but you know what? I'm glad that you've been able to heal. You're cancer free. You've had a successful surgery that's healing.
Thank you.
And you're able to be used as the vessel to share these stories, to be honest, to be truthful, and to really know, to help the next person of, hey, you don't know what to ask. These are the questions to ask. You don't know what this looks like, or, the side effects of something, or, taking your treatment or your care and self-care necessary, you're able to provide that insight. So, what else can you share, and how this has shifted your gears for what your mission is now?
Oh my gosh. Now that I have cancer behind me and I have these pending partnerships and I'm just finding my platform with my advocacy, that's all I want to do is educate and just bring awareness to this horrible disease. And also breast cancer. Just breast cancer is not my focus.
Right.
Because breast cancer is 1 in 8 women. It's testicular cancer is 1 in 9 in men. So 1 in 9 people worked at McDonald's.
This is
Did
true.
you work at McDonald's?
No, I didn't.
I did.
I worked at Cold Stone.
Did you work at McDonald's? Did you work at McDonald's? No, so that's 50. That's 50, and we're both women.
Right.
So.
Right. Very true.
I mean, well, if it were 1 in 8 comparison, but 1 in 8, 1 in 9, no, it's a crazy number, and we have to just not ignore it. And as uncomfortable as certain procedures are to get checked, it's worth it. If your family is important to you and your grandkids, and I mean, again, in October, I had a speech that I met a young woman that had my type of cancer when she was 32. She's 36 now.
She lived to tell her story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's unreal. And so that brings me into what I have pending with Amir and doing a day, my day. Lisa Varga is an impressive host, and she has put out the Enlightened Project, and it's been local until now with Indiana, and she brings awareness and just focuses on and brings the community together as far as charities and stories within the community. So she's done that for the past 2 years, and we are actually thinking, let's see. We are in communication. I can't say too much.
Right.
I want to just
take your time.
I know I have to.
With how you need to word it.
I know. I wrote it down. So what can I say? What can't I say? Okay, so it is worth. Stay tuned because it is going to be impressive. I'm going to be interviewing in some cancer conversations.
Okay.
And bringing somewhere. So if you have cancer that runs in your family, if you have anyone that you know that has fought cancer, any type of cancer,
or someone that has your same situation that never
same
have
situation,
any
or you're a
cancer in your
single mom
family.
and just are worried about your friends, someone else that has cancer.
Sure.
We have networks that are in competition for sponsorship, and this project is it's going to be bringing awareness and saving lives. So I can't say too much, but stand by.
Well, congratulations. Because we'll wait for the rest of it. We'll wait for the interviews. But, what we can share now, what would you say to all the moms that are dealing with a similar situation, that's the breadwinner, that takes care of everyone, that knows that you still have a story to tell, you still have goals and dreams to fulfill, and know that your children do too? What do you say to them?
I say to them to follow Mama Ringo on any platform. Because listen, as soon as we win the Super Bowl and all of this starts to evolve, follow, because all of this it's going to get real. I'm going to get I'm going to get really involved with my story and what I've overcome. And if that subject is sensitive to you in any way because you know someone who's fought it, you've lost someone.
Yeah.
It's just we have to bring awareness and again hold each other accountable. There's so much about cancer that you don't know.
We don't know. We're still learning about that hasn't been discovered.
Oh my gosh, there's been so much research done. In like 10 years ago, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you.
That's true.
And so and I'm partnered with ESPN and the Jimmy V Foundation, and that's who's actually conducting this research.
Oh, dope! That's fire.
That is saving lives, and
Yeah.
it's not just breast cancer because cancer affects all of us and affects us in different areas of our bodies. We just have to be aware of it. We have to know our family history and
yeah. Well, through this experience and your soon to come new experiences, what do you believe have been the most meaningful moments through it all that really speak to this new chapter in your life?
Oh my gosh. Say that again.
What are the most meaningful experiences so far, that you've been able to gain or experience with this new chapter in your life and being cancer-free?
This last win, I was down on the field making a snow angel in my snowsuit. In my literal snowsuit. I wear a silver snowsuit, girl. My hair looks just like this. Actually, this is new hair.
I love that, though.
This is new. This is Super Bowl hair. And I just finished. Good. Actually, that's why I was 20 minutes late, because it tore my nails up. I'm on my way there next to get my nails fixed. The white didn't survive. I got to go get green. Anyways, no, the energy that these fans bring. Yeah. Like when we were at the University of Georgia, I had to leave the parent section to go on over to the student section so I could just find the energy. Like, I'm lit at these games.
Yeah.
And at the tailgates. And these Eagles fans are willing to tailgate at 7 a.m.
Yeah. All day. It's an all-day event.
Climb up light poles and flood Broad Street. Like, I haven't seen anything like it.
It's
if we were to ever, which I hope it doesn't happen, but if my son were to play for a different team, guess what? I'm still an Eagles fan.
He is too. I was about to say, he's still an Eagle too.
I don't know. That's not going to change. I don't see that changing.
I'm cracking up. Okay, what else and how can we get involved? Do you have any events coming up or any volunteers that would be or could be available to be involved to help serve your mission and help assist?
Hold on, girl. Okay. Well, like I said, that we are partnered with the Jimmy V Foundation through ESPN, and I love that partnership again because it is researching.
Yeah.
There are 72 major organizations across the United States. All of them are in competition with each other for the money invest from the Jimmy V for their research. And that is just basically, long story short, the best of the research being conducted. And like I said, I wouldn't have been here had this all happened 10 years ago. So I just I have a big mouth. I'm willing to use it. I'm here to advocate. I'm willing to teach. If there is anyone that is even online and that is scared and has questions, I'm here because that's exactly what I'm moving into, a mentorship.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. If I would have had that, if I would have had me.
But that's why you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God works in mysterious ways. And again, I have a big mouth. I'm willing to use it, and I'm willing to tell the uncomfortable truth. There's everything's being worked out because I have to do it the right way. But I plan on exposing my scars from my mastectomy. Also, I'll add that when they did my bilateral mastectomy, when I finished my chemo, my own family was telling me not to remove, do the whole procedure. I removed everything. I said, I don't want any breast tissue because that fight was so hard. I don't want any fraction. Or the least fraction of possibility of it coming back.
That's just knowing what's best for you to do.
Exactly. And when they did that mastectomy, they pulled 2 lymph nodes. They pulled from 2 lymph nodes.
Oh, wow.
And there were dead cancer cells in my lymph nodes.
Wow.
My cancer was in the process of metastasizing. I don't know how many lymph nodes it has to jump, but that is the gateway to your entire body.
Sure.
That's how cancer metastasizes, is through your lymph nodes. And for them to have pulled that out, I just almost had a different fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And glad you caught it then.
It's gone.
Yeah. It's gone.
It's gone. And thankfully I caught it in the nick of time.
Yeah.
But having caught it just in the nick of time tells me that I have to spread this word.
Yes. You have a redefined new mission and purpose in life.
Definitely. It is my new mission.
Yeah, I love that. You have a new mission.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Thank you so much for coming through and being just so transparent with me and sharing your story. And before you go, you gotta tell us how you're gonna be decked out this weekend to see the Eagles win. Like, what's the vibe? Can I come with you? Like, what are we doing?
Of course, you can, girl. Pull up. It's about to be a blast. This is one of many of my outfits.
Yeah.
Once I get down there, I have my best friend and my sister who is going to be meeting me down there. My best friend that I've known for 20 years, and during that time that I was that I first started receiving my treatment, she's laid off, or not laid off, but working from home as everyone else was, and so she just packed up her computer. She actually didn't pack up her computer. I think it was a laptop, and she came out, and then she went to Costco, and she got another monitor, and then used that, John, for like a month, and then went back. But she cooked for me and got me started so that I could recognize what my medication looked like and how many pills I have to take. And she's just a real one. Her name is Hope, and
she instilled some hope for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Literally,
I love that.
Literally.
Thank you, Hope.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you, Hope. I love you. I'll see you in a couple days at the Super Bowl for that dub, girl.
Yes.
Hey, so she's in D.C. She's in Maryland.
Okay.
So she's way closer to Washington. But I said, girl, don't come out here and don't even play with me. Don't come out here and anything Washington. We will fight.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years. We can.
That's why the Commanders took that L. Anyway, Mama Ringo, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much. Fly, Eagles, fly to another championship and really flying over everything you've been able to face head on, all obstacles. So I really appreciate you coming in to tell your story, knowing that you have support and you're creating new support systems for those that didn't have any at all. So your work is definitely something that we all need. And thank you so much for saying, you know what, I need to do this. This is something I'm putting on my back to do. This is a part of my new mission and new calling. And thank you so much. Like, you have family and here support here at Radio 1 too to do that.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me this platform to spread this message, girl.
You're so welcome.
And go Birds.
And go Birds. Get more over at rnbphilly.com.